Live from the Shabby Shack, in association with Liver and Bacon Productions, it's ATW Podcast.
Shabby Shack. Liver and Bacon. Shabby Shack.
ATW Podcast.
The Shabby Shack, 28 minutes. 28 minutes of chat with me, yours truly, AT Dubs. How are you? You good? Did you have a good Christmas? Brilliant. Okay, so our guest today is a gentleman you're probably not going to recognize him immediately. You might do, because he's definitely been on camera quite a bit, and there's some YouTube stuff that's gone very viral. But his voice, on the other hand, you would have heard on primetime shows, even worldwide primetime shows. He's worked with Walt Disney, Britain's Got Talent, the BBC, the Jackson family. Who are they? Yeah. And also he's worked with the Vamps. Oh my gosh, the list is endless. London 2012 Olympics, and also he did a little thing called the Queen's Jubilee. So yeah, anyway, ladies and gentlemen, Fraser Freeze in the place to be. How are you, Fraser?
Hello, Alan. How you doing?
I'm good. Right, so Fraser, let's get straight to it. When did you, because you are a brilliant dancer, but you're also an actor and a singer, but somehow you've chosen to be behind the scenes. Which one do you think you're immediately stronger in? Because I've seen you sing, I've heard you sing, I've seen you sing, I've seen you on stage, but why immediately do you work behind the scenes rather than front?
I started off on the stage when I was younger.
Oh yeah.
So I feel like I've kind of had that journey, and now I'm behind the scenes.
So what were you doing when you were younger? Because I know you learnt to play piano at a really young age, correct?
age 5, yeah.
Age 5?
Yeah, age 5.
Did you have lessons?
Yeah, I did, yeah. Lovely lady called Claudette Evans.
Hi, Claudia.
Claudette, yeah.
Claudette. Sorry, Claudette. Sorry.
Yeah, so I got my first job when I was 12, on the stage. And so I feel like I've fulfilled that kind of part of my life.
But it wasn't just any stage, was it? So some people would say, oh, brilliant, he got a job in local theatre. You got a job
in at the London Palladium.
At the London Palladium. In what
Oliver.
In Oliver.
Yeah.
Who were you playing?
Oh, the character was called Snake.
Okay.
Yeah. So my background is actually musical theatre, all the acting, singing, dancing, all that kind of stuff. So I love the theatre. And then at that time, I didn't even know what hip hop was or street dance or anything.
Well, who were you listening to at the age of 12? Do you remember?
Oh yeah, I was listening to a kind of not even hip hop bands. I was listening to indie music and things like that.
So you went into pop?
I don't think so. No, I think I was listening to Michael Jackson, like probably everybody in the world was listening to Michael Jackson. So you can't really not be influenced.
And still does. Yeah. It's endless, isn't it? Quincy Jones. Are you a Quincy Jones fan? That's steering off track.
Absolutely love Quincy Jones. Is rest in peace. He recently passed away.
Yeah, one of my heroes
as a composer. Yeah, and I was watching an interview with him recently, actually, and he was saying rappers are a bit like jazz musicians. He was bigging up rappers, saying they kind of flow like jazz musicians. He knows what's up. He
definitely understood hip hop.
Yeah, exactly. So I've got so much respect for him. Hans Zimmer as well. They're both up there. Amazing.
Couldn't be more different, but at the same time, very similar.
Yeah.
At the same time,
I basically just appreciate everything: musical theatre, orchestral composers, hip hop. I just love it all, really. So yeah, I got into hip hop, and then it's kind of a merge of the two, really. Hip hop.
So what age were you when you got into hip hop? When you understood hip hop and thought, I quite like that. Because let's be honest, I think it's safe to say, and I should have said this in the introduction, you are the number one street producer pretty much in the United Kingdom. Is that safe to say? Am I allowed to say that on here?
Well, that's your opinion.
It's my opinion. Well, look at the credits, ladies and gentlemen. Fraser Freeze Bennett. Just Google it for yourself. And I think the work speaks for itself. But is it strange sometimes when you might meet some people that might be moderately famous, because I know you've come into walks with so many people, and they might not understand what you've done. Have you ever actually said to people, "Look, would you just Google me? Would you just take a little?"
No, I've never said that.
I have loads of times, all the time. Google me.
It's
maybe miss out the top bit. Britain's Got Talent's worst DJ ever. Yeah, maybe miss that bit out. But yeah.
No, and I quite like living quite a normal life.
Did you not want to be famous as a kid?
I think as a kid, yeah, but I think when you work with people and you see that they don't have that much privacy, and you think, really, that's probably not something I don't want to be stressed like that.
Did you see anything like that when you were doing the theatre at 12? Did you see other people and think, wow, that's intense?
No, I didn't see anything like that. I saw some people backstage signing autographs and things like that, but I haven't seen anything
intense.
Nothing crazy.
When you're on the stage, let me take you to that place again. Now, you actually got a scholarship, didn't you, to one of the top theatre schools in the UK?
Kind of, yeah.
Kind of.
Not technically a scholarship. The agency, I'm speaking here, aren't I?
You can speak wherever you want.
So the agency that got me the job in the West End, they, because I don't live in London, they put me by law. They have to school me, if that makes sense.
Yeah, 100%.
So basically, I got to go to a quite a nice school for theatre. Yeah.
Well, you went to Sylvia Young, didn't you?
Yeah.
Which is probably responsible for some of the biggest stars in the UK.
Amy Winehouse went to Sylvia Young. Yeah,
she did. Yeah. Mika.
No, Mika was in Oliver.
Was he?
Yeah.
Who else went to Sylvia Young? I know Emma Bunton did from Spice Girls, and Russell Brand got kicked out, I think.
I didn't even know that.
Russell Brand was there. Russell Brand was the first one that was ever expelled from Sylvia Young that made it nevertheless.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that. So my background's theatre, and then I got into hip hop probably about 16 when my hometown is Bournemouth, and I was walking through Bournemouth Square, and I saw a group called Second to None, which is one of the main guys called John Isaacs, and I saw him head spinning, and I was like, "What is this?" And I was just like open mouthed. And if you've ever heard of them, John's got like the world record for the most amount of head spins in 1 minute. So when you're next to that performance, you can feel the wind like blowing in your face, and you're just like, okay, I'm not watching an amateur here. So those guys just inspired me to get into hip hop. I watched John plug in his laptop into a old school ghetto blaster and blast all of his remixes, and I think that just really influenced me, just like, as a kid, just watching that.
You're not unlike John, though. I mean, you don't look like him, but your mannerisms.
He's a lovely guy.
John's amazing, this guy. And he's had, this Second to None group, they were world's #1 breakdance crew at one point, weren't they?
I think so, yeah. They definitely won the UK champions.
Well, I remember seeing a poster of them, and it was all these from Chicago, from downtown Los Angeles, from New York City, and then from Bournemouth. Second to None. But no, absolutely brilliant. And they're still going, aren't they?
Sure, I think I saw a clip recently, and it said John, I think he's in his mid-50s.
Yeah.
And he was saying 55-year-old breakdancer still doing his thing, and he was doing windmills like a 20-year-old. And it's just, he inspired me back then.
Yeah.
And they still inspire me right now. I mean, it's just like, it makes me go, right, okay, what's my excuse to get in the gym and do this? He's in his mid-50s.
But he also did produce, didn't he? He produced a lot of house music. So at what point did you say, because you then became a dance teacher, didn't you?
Yeah.
For quite a while. So at what point did you say, right, I'm actually a really good musician? Because most people that can dance really well aren't necessarily that brilliant musicians, and vice versa. So at what point did you say, I'm going to dedicate myself to doing this production stuff? Because you play pretty much every instrument, don't you? You're very good.
I play multiple instruments. Yeah. So my plan was to be a dancer. Yeah. And so I was dancing on stage, and I was in my own street dance. I was in my own street dance group, and they were called Funked Up.
Funked Up.
Yeah.
Was that like a boy band, or?
No, a bit like, with all the remixes and stuff, a bit like kind of what you see in Britain's Got Talent.
So would you do the remixes for?
That's what got me into it. And I thought, well, I need to do the mixes for my own group.
Right.
So just because a necessity, I had to do it. So I never thought in a million years that would be something that would be a useful skill for someone else in the future. And it never really occurred to me. And I was just like really into it because of my own dance group. And then when it became popular, that kind of thing, people, I think I just, no, what happened is loads of other dance groups, I was going to all these events in London and everything, and I was just seeing all my favourite street dancers. I was going, let me mix your music for you. Let me mix your music.
Oh, so you were doing it for free for quite a while?
Yeah, I was doing it for other people and friends and things, and just people who I really liked. And I didn't realise, I'm not a businessman, I didn't realise I was networking. I didn't realise I was building like a name. And then suddenly, I just started getting some phone calls and work through, and I was like, it was a complete accident, really. I didn't intend to do it.
You could say almost a bit like sliding doors moment, isn't it? Because I know you were in a boy band for a while, weren't you? Very short space of time. That's why I brought that up and thought that.
I auditioned and I was in a boy band, and I was actually pretty devastated that didn't turn into anything.
The song was great.
There was a number of songs, that were really good.
But the group looked great. I've seen a picture. You looked like you would have fitted in completely with all the others.
I was gutted that it didn't work out. But, at the time, what you think you want and what's actually kind of destined for you is two different things. Probably the best thing that could have ever happened to me, because...
Do you ever wonder what would have happened had you gone down that route? Because you could have had a good 3 years where you would have flown or whatever, and then
I would have never have got into producing.
You don't think so?
No, because
you might have ended up becoming a Gary Barlow. You might have ended up writing or producing for the group.
No, I saved up money. I stayed. I didn't move to London. I saved some money, and I built equipment. And I built up equipment and built a recording studio. And do you know what? Looking back now, I'm thinking that was the fate. Whatever you believe in, or whatever, that was the path for me. And I'm so glad that I think if I was in a boy band for 2 years and then it would have finished, I wouldn't have written any of the songs. I probably wouldn't have made that much money.
You probably wouldn't have made that much money. That bit's true.
But
traveled the world.
Maybe, but I just don't think it's the right path.
Was that the dream though?
At the time, at the time. But do you know what? I really like working behind the scenes.
Yeah.
I really like. I use all of my dance knowledge and skills and all the skills from everything else, theatre, all that. And just being in the studio, just a lot of the time alone, just doing my own thing. I am the orchestra.
Would you consider yourself an introvert or an extrovert?
Yeah, when I'm working, yeah,
definitely an introvert.
Yeah, but I like socializing in my own time.
Yeah,
with friends and things like that. I really like that. I'm not shy to socialize, but I like. Do you know what? I have been in bands. I've been in a 7-piece band. And it's amazing. It's the most amazing thing to work with a whole bunch of other musicians, and you all know. But try and rely on 6 other people, for rehearsals, and you've got to split all the money.
No, I
Being a one-man band, you can. I have a home studio. You roll out of bed, you're there, and you basically
you've got a vision of you literally rolling out of bed in your pajamas.
And you've got every
getting straight on with it.
You don't need to rely upon when's the guitarist going to turn up, when's the saxophonist. You've got everything. You've got every instrument there, and it's just ready to go.
Yeah, it's scary, isn't it?
Yeah, and that wouldn't have happened a few years ago.
That wouldn't have happened in the 80s. No.
Technology is. Yeah.
I mean, it's fun, isn't it? But it's scary at the same time. Are you scared sometimes that AI could put you out of a gig?
I've thought a lot about this, actually, and I've written quite a lot about this. I think...
I say that partly because I said, so this episode is called The Man Behind the Rhythms. And when I told you that, you immediately said, oh, did you go on AI and get that name? I didn't.
Yeah, I was just joking.
Thank you very much. But
I was joking, by the way.
Were you joking, though?
I was joking because
I know you do. You're really good with AI. I've seen you do legal letters and all sorts of stuff.
Yeah. I think it's good. I've actually written I've got into spoken word writing, poetry and kind of, it's kind of like half rap, half poetry kind of thing. A lot in the last year, I've written a whole piece about AI, about this topic. So I think it's so interesting, and I think it's a good tool, but not replacement. I think things like maybe YouTubers or things like that might use it for background music, but as a tool for like a composer in a film or something like that, No,
It
I
scares
think
me
you
a
need
little
to
bit.
use a human.
A guy before Christmas, good friend of mine, I'm not going to say his name right now, but
Yeah.
he said, I've written a song. I'd never known him to be musical in any way or form. He said, I've written a Christmas song. And basically all he did was type in, I want it to sound like Beyonce meets Taylor Swift with a Bruce Springsteen vibe. And it was exactly what came. And it was a really good song. It happened in 4 minutes, something like that. And all he did was write about crypto and write about Donald Trump getting in and so forth. And it was, and I was really impressed, but kind of upset at the same time.
In TV, sometimes a song doesn't get cleared by copyright, and I get a song sent to me, and they say, "Can you make a sound alikey?" So you kind of I'm going to use the similar piano, same strings, and it's kind of like you analyze that song, and that's kind of what AI is doing, is kind of spitting out. But
I suppose it's happened since day one when I suppose Elvis Presley came along. Then suddenly in the UK, we had our carbon copies like the Cliffs, or whatever, and suddenly back and forth. So
I'm trying to think of one of the lines I've written, because I've written a whole piece about this. I think one of the lines I've put: will AI have originality or just be a remix of humanity? Basically,
that's good. Yeah, that's really, really good.
And I think that's what it would just be. It would just, it would. And also, it won't compose in a state when humans are making music. They're in that kind of flow state. I just don't think it will have that kind of emotion. Have you heard of the? Okay, I'm going to go off on a really crazy one now. Have you heard of the? Is it the monkeys typing on you got like 1,000 monkeys or something typing away for infinity? Eventually they'll write the works of Shakespeare. Have you heard of this? The infinite monkey.
Heard that.
Oh, so it's the infinite monkey theorem. So they tap away, and eventually, just out of randomness and time, they'll create something creative. But if you've got infinity, of course, that may happen, if that kind of makes sense. And I think if AI creates a masterpiece, I don't think it's because it's in this amazing kind of state of flow when it's creating this music. I think it's literally, if you spit out 20,000 tracks, one of them might be like amazing, but it's not because AI has been like Prince or Michael in the studio with this amazing flow, connection to the universe or something. It's just.
Would Prince or Michael be as a Prince or Michael now if they suddenly landed at 2025 after what's been happening? That's the scary thing, because I suppose between 1950 and the year 2000 they call it the rock and roll revolution, and it truly was the musical revolution, the pop music revolution. Since 2000, I think there's been some great stuff that's come out, but I don't think anything is world changing and actually your average person can't even tell you who's number one in the charts at the moment. Yeah, no,
that's a thing that I've thought about as well. I think Michael, Prince, I think those, I don't know. It's good. This new generation is good, but it doesn't compare to the greats.
But do you think they would have landed the same way so many years later?
I think back in the day, it's interesting because you can literally be a dude in your kitchen. I think that guy, that really good singer that was Eurovision with the long hair, what's his name? Sam Ryder. I think I heard the story. He was singing in his kitchen and he got picked up on TikTok. So you've got this. You can almost cut out the record labels.
He was doing TikToks. No, he was doing loads of TikToks. He got the numbers up. So.
I may be wrong, but you can go viral. So you can literally be just in your bedroom or whatever. So and you don't need. You needed a record label back in the day.
Oh yeah, you don't need it now, but you do need the numbers.
So you could build organically. But that magical, it's before my time. But I was actually speaking to someone else yesterday, another a DJ, about this yesterday. It's before my time, but I know because I've heard the story. When Michael Jackson's Thriller came out, the world apparently stopped and watched it on that day, on that time, and that magical moment of all that hype. It'll be like, yeah, I'll watch it tomorrow on the toilet.
It wasn't just that. There was no, you're absolutely right.
Pull out the phone
you could just send me the link. No, but there was. I remember watching the Moonwalk for the first time when he did Billie Jean on the Motown 25 show, and he'd just performed with his brothers, and that was amazing. and then he did Billie Jean, and then he did the moonwalk, because so many people didn't believe whether he really did it or not, and he did it live on the stage. And I remember watching. I was probably 6 years old, but it was amazing. Now we've got to move on quickly, because we've only got 28 minutes. And I was worried that we're going to have stuff to talk about. This is good. This is really, really good. But so you've been producing. Let's take us back to that bit. So you've done your own dance group, and then you've been, in essence, producing for other street dancers around the UK, pretty much in London. That are coming to London. You then get picked up by a TV show. Is it So You Think You Can Dance? Is that the one? Or
I have worked on. Yeah, I have worked on So You Think You Can Dance. I think the Australian version. Yeah.
But how did it go about that suddenly Ashley Banjo gets your number and calls you?
One of the guys that was teaching at the studio. I'd worked for him.
Okay, so it wasn't a contestant from Britain's Got Talent or So You Think You Can Dance?
No, just I'd done a million remixes for a million different people, and as I say, I didn't realize I was networking. I didn't realize, but I was just loving it. It's just my passion, And
so you were just doing it again and again.
I was literally begging. Like, it sounds crazy, but I was going to like events and begging people. Like if I see my favorite group, I'm like, "Here's my demo. Like, please let me work for you. I'll do it for free." And I swear, like half of them go in the bin. But I was just basically doing it. I thought there'd be a million people that would be doing, mixes and music things, but it turns out it wasn't. I think a lot of people don't want to spend a million hours in front of a computer looking at sound effects.
So how did it thought? So somebody passed Ashley Banjo your number.
Yeah.
And then out the
his
blue,
name
how did the?
I think there might have been probably. I was working on a show actually, Got to Dance at the time, which is I think
on Sky.
Yeah. So I think maybe my name.
That was actually the one I was referring to be honest.
No, my name popped up, but it was actually the main person.
That's a whole different show, isn't it? That's an American show.
It's
an American show. Got to Dance.
Got to Dance is the one that I was working on.
Okay, so you were on there.
They might have said, perhaps, I'm not sure. Go and speak to Fraser about some music. But
just cutting you off for a second, that when at the beginning of the podcast I said about how you might not recognise him, but on pretty much every season of Britain's Got Talent and Got to Dance, you'll hear Fraser's voiceover within these rhythms coming up so many times. That's correct, isn't it? I mean, it's constantly your voice coming up on the Diversity tour.
Yeah, I've done some narration on the Diversity tour and other acts that have been on Britain's Got Talent. I've worked with quite a number of acts on various dance shows over the year, and I never set out to be a narrator or anything. It's just theatre's part of my background, so it's just part of the job. Can you add in this voiceover? I don't advertise services. Hey, I'm a narrator. It's just part of the thing. Storytelling. Do you know what? I was embarrassed about my voice when I first started. When I first started going to street dance competitions, and they're all like, "Yo," and I'm like, "Hello, nice to meet you." I thought, like, I hate my voice.
Hello, I'm from Dorset.
Yeah, I don't sound cool. But the moment you've got like a street dance performance that's got a storytelling vibe, suddenly my voice fits.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Well,
So it's like, okay, it fits now.
One of your bits of work that I love is actually the Dance Beats Cancer video that you did. I think it was a year before lockdown.
And I'm glad you brought up the charity stuff, because
you do it every year. You do it every year. I'm actually hosting it. Got to get my plug in there. I mean, just remember, there is a fantastic host at this event.
So I love those guys. That Wendy that works for the charity, and if you don't know, it was a film. It was a film, and then it's turned into a yearly event, a live event every year, and it was only supposed to be a launch for a film night on a one-off occasion, and then people were like,
"You can go and see this on YouTube." What's it called?
Dance Beats Cancer. Yeah, that's it, really.
2019.
I think so. Yeah, you got a good memory.
Well, only because the year then when we did lockdown, you did one and you mixed it with all the other people dancing from home.
I
say that because I was in it, so I've made it about me again. So either way, that was an amazing production. You did it down at Bournemouth Pier, and you had all these different dance groups, and you had a magician, that guy from Britain's Got Talent as well.
Yeah, he's actually originally from my hometown. Really lovely guy.
What's his name?
James Moore.
James Moore.
Yeah, and he did
brilliant magician.
And he's in America on I think it's like the Illusionist tour or something. He's
Really?
So do you know what? There's so many amazingly talented people that have come out of that era, come out of the South, come out of Dorset, and I think sometimes Bournemouth's got a reputation of like, it's a place where people go to retire, and it's like
corporate,
yeah,
or development.
But you've got second to none, like we talked about earlier. It's like there's a rich hip hop history there that you wouldn't have, unless you're in the industry, you wouldn't know. So James Moore, lovely guy. He was in the video, and so many people. Do you know what? As I said, it was only supposed to be a one-off night for a launch, and then people were like, "When's the next one? When's the next one?" Here we are, how many years later, and it's become an annual event. And let's talk about Youth Cancer Trust, since the event's about them.
Yeah,
give them a shout out, because they do amazing work and just lovely people, and I've got all the time in the world for them. And they give free holidays in Dorset to teenagers dealing with cancer. And when they first approached me about to do some sort of project, I was like, yeah, dance, and in my hometown, something amazing that's going on. And when you give money to charities, you don't normally see where it goes, but I've been to their they've got like a farm where I've met the teenagers that are dealing with cancer. I've spoken to them. I've seen the results of where the money goes and all the hard work. So I support it fully. It's
brilliant.
And
we're doing another one
emotional because I'm
doing another one this year as well.
Yeah, every year, and it just ticks every box for me, because I want to be able to contribute in way if I can, so, and I feel grateful that I can with the skill set that I have, and dancers that I've met over the years.
And
I just said, hey, come and do this event.
All those dancers are pretty much from the South Coast as well, aren't they? I'd say
a lot of them are, but we've had a lot of dancers come down. We've had Kieran Lay, who is actually Kieran's in the new Wicked film.
Okay.
So we've had Kieran, who was one of the acts I was did the music for on Britain's Got Talent, who did very well on Britain's Got Talent.
Where did he get to?
I don't know. I actually don't know, but all I know is he's racked up about 8 million views. So
8 million views,
he's done all right. He's done all right.
It's not bad.
So
isn't that funny? That's what it's about, isn't it?
He's come down.
How many hits?
Yeah, he's in the film. He's in the Dance Beats Cancer film. So we've people like that. But you know what? That's what the event's about.
Did you ever try and get diversity to come into it? Or?
No, I think they're quite busy. But I've had,
great charity. It's a great charity. So
Ashley has given us a shout out. So fair play to him. He's done shout out videos for us. So I appreciate that support. But as I was saying about the show, we have an 8-year-old that's like performed for the first time, for instance, on the show, that's never done anything before. And then we've got someone like Kieran's been on Britain's Got Talent. And then next up, we've got like a special needs group that perform every year. So it's like everyone's welcome, all abilities, and it's just
a website people can go to.
A website?
Yeah.
Youth Cancer Trust. I don't think you can see the dancing, but you can, if you want to check out the Youth Cancer Trust.
Okay, Fraser, we got 1 minute left. So with Diversity, how many years did you work with them? Pretty much
13
years. But you also, so you pretty much did most of their tours over that time.
A lot of their tours,
all their stuff on TV, or pretty much most of it. But you also worked with the Jabberwockies, didn't you? Which is pretty much the American version of Diversity. Would we say that?
So I work for a company called Roby, which is like an amazing lighting company that do all they make these crazy lights, and they do a show every year in Vegas. And they were like, oh hey, we've booked these dancers through the agency, like I think they're called the Jabberwockies. I was like, what? But I don't think it was the entire crew, just some of the members from the Jabberwockies.
Last 30 seconds.
Yeah, so anyway,
what's next, and where do you see yourself in 5 years? Quick, wrap it up.
Okay.
How we doing, Steve?
Look, never stop learning. You know, I'm just
never stop learning. I love that.
Never stop learning. I'm studying music and orchestrate. It's all about the orchestrations. I love.
So you're still obsessed.
I'm obsessed with that, and I'm obsessed also with writing as well, rhymes and poems, all that kind of stuff. So yeah, just exploring creativity, really.
I'm going to finish on one very, very serious question. What's your favourite fast food?
I love my jerk chicken. I don't think
Jerk
that's fast.
chicken.
I don't
Thank
think
you
that's
very
fast
much.
food.
Cheers, Fraser.